Hey everybody, welcome back to the 150th episode of Taps and Patience. I'm AJ with Subtract Manufacturing and Audacity Micro, here with Harrison of Precision Ingenuity. Hi Harrison. I didn't mess up the intro this time. At least not yet.
How we doing?
I'm doing pretty well, actually. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing good. We missed you last week.
Yeah, what happened last week? I was traveling last week.
So, yeah, but we had a guest, and it was a good episode. I enjoyed it.
I actually listened to that one, and I very much enjoyed it too. So I had talked to Kyle a bunch on Discord, like via the Subtract, or because of the Subtract work.
Mm-hmm.
But I never talked to him on the phone or seen him in person, obviously. So it was good hearing more of his backstory, and I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed that episode. It was very within tolerance. It's the most within tolerance episode we've had. Sorry, Dylan.
Well, it was a lot of fun. So it was good to hear his story.
Yeah, I did not realize how much of a, quote unquote, proper manufacturing background he had.
Yeah, he did. He had a lot that he had going for him.
Yeah. So he's definitely one of our best Subtract vendors. And I understand why now. I did not quite have that full context.
Makes sense.
But definitely someone I'm happy to have, kind of as part of the team there.
Mm-hmm. So how goes it? You've been traveling and doing other stuff?
I have been swamped with entirely administrative stuff. So I am in a teaching session right now. I've got about 4 more weeks of that class left. And that takes up like 2/3 of my day, basically. They moved the class back a little bit on me, where it's now an hour earlier and the same length, which is actually nice because I get home at a decent time now. But it takes a much bigger chunk of my day than it used to. And the week before last? Yeah, the week before last, I believe it was, I was swamped with Audacity parts while also trying to do school. And it was one of those things where, I was staying up late every night. I was waking up early every morning to get these parts done. They were relatively short cycle time with several different operations. It was like 4 different operations that were each like 10 minutes long or something. And I was making like 30 or 40 of them. So it was kind of the perfect recipe of not being able to get away from the machine.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was, in terms of dollars per hour, it was a really good job. One of the better ones that I've ever had. But in terms of getting other things done, it was a nightmare. And so I started getting behind on like administrative stuff from that. And then I was gone all weekend on a trip with my wife, not a work related one. And then we got back like late Sunday night or something. And ever since Monday morning, I've been trying to get caught up. And I guess I'm making progress, but I'm still not all the way caught up. We've had a lot of quotes come through Subtract lately.
Woohoo!
And trying to keep up with those has been, it's good. Like, it's great. This is a great problem to have. But it's like, I will sit down to do a quote, and before I finish it, another one will come in. And then we had 2 or 3 that were like complex quotes. Like, generally our quoting process is down, where it's like part comes in, okay, upload the model to Toolpath, open up SERP, start throwing numbers in. And sometimes I can have them done in literally, 5 minutes or less. But we've had a couple like of these RFQs lately that have been like, here's, 10 different parts, and there's no CAD model for them. There's just drawings.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't work with our system as it is now. Our system has no good way of handling those.
Gotcha.
And so I've just been modeling them. And those are the ones that are really taking me a long time. The ones that I'm modeling have all been like from our best customer. Mm-hmm. So the chances of us getting the job are very high. So I don't mind putting that work in up front. And the dollar value of the job is pretty good. So like, it's worth my time. But trying to get those done while also like, playing whack-a-mole with little quotes that come up, while also trying to get everything else done while also trying to get some work done for school while also like I've just been while also to death.
Do you charge for that design time?
We haven't yet. That might change on the next one. Sometimes the parts are really easy to model and it's not too big of a deal. But I've had one part on this that I've been modeling for like a day and a half because the first time I did it, it was not obvious that the part was not symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent a long time modeling it. And then I got to the end and I was getting the final few features in and the math wasn't mathing. And I had built the part from the beginning with the assumption that everything was symmetrical. So it was all built with like mirrors and symmetry constraints. And I tried to get it to work for like 2 hours, like tried to salvage what I had done and then gave up and started remodeling it.
Yep.
So
yeah,
we may charge for that from now on.
We always charge for that. Like it happens every once in a while. Someone will come in with a napkin sketch or one of our customers will have a really old print and they don't have a model associated with it. So we just charge for that time.
Yeah.
With the understanding that like it goes into the first time cost. Like if you reorder it and we already have the model and everything's still the same, then it'll be back down to regular pricing.
Yeah.
So,
we might do something like that.
Yeah.
But
and if you do, I would do some sort of like additional, like, I don't know what your quotes look like that you send out to your customers, but I would make it clear that there's some sort of CAD time in the quote.
Yeah. We have a way of adding non-part line items like finishing, and it would be that.
Yep. So I would definitely want to do something like that. It incentivizes your customers to get you CAD models. So
yeah. I'm doing some math here quickly. Okay. So we originally had a goal for Subtract, like a monthly revenue goal set. Like when we went ahead and planned out our year. So this month we have already hit our goal that was supposed to be for July.
Nice.
And I thought like our planning was really aggressive. And then we did half the year in a month or 2 months. So
nice.
Things are growing faster than expected over on the Subtract front.
That's good to hear. That means you're doing something right. So that is good.
It feels like the first time I've had a business where I like truly have product market fit, where what I'm offering is actually what the market needs. So
yeah, it's cool when that happens.
Yep. So what have you been up to?
Oh, I'm a loner for a while.
Oh, that's right.
Yep. So Weston's gone. My wife's gone. My parents are gone. Weston's parents are gone. Like it is. I
didn't realize your wife was gone. I thought it was just you were alone in the shop.
No. My wife is also gone. She's on a mission trip. So for 2 weeks.
That's right. You said that.
So she's
out of country?
Yeah, she's out of state.
Not out of country.
Yeah. So she is, well, out of country too. She's down in Belize. So
that is both out of state and out of country.
Yeah.
To my understanding.
Both. Yes.
Yeah.
So so she's down there on a mission trip right now. So they're doing a bunch of work down there, and she amazingly still has cell service. So
that's nice.
So like I can talk to her every once in a while. And the phone plan that we have has some international built in. So
okay.
So that's nice. So she's doing that. And then just everyone else just decided to leave at the same time. So I'm just stuck trying to keep my head above water, which is proving to be very stressful right now. So
before we get to that, so for me, if everybody left, I would just be like, I guess I'm making parts. And I would just come and work and, listen to podcasts and watch my YouTube videos. And I don't know, eventually people would get back and I'd probably be a little bit sad about that. For you, like, are you going crazy. Like, you are a much more social person than I am. I play a social person on the internet, but I am not in reality. You are a social person in reality.
I still have employee Ben though, so
True.
He's still there. So it's not the social element of it. It's that Weston has kind of become the administrative person. So ordering materials, doing quotes, like making sure the shop is well stocked. Like, he is always buzzing around, making sure that everything is just running smoothly so I can focus on getting parts out the door.
Okay.
And so, like, if there's emails and questions from people, like, he's usually fielding all of that stuff, so that I can just focus on what I'm good at. And not having him there, like, the emails are blowing up and I'm trying to get stuff programmed and out the door, and it's like I can't really sit down and focus, and all this stuff. And so it's been a lot just to do it all. So not having him here is really showing a lot. And it's the inverse problem when I'm gone, which hopefully Ben will help out with on the Western side. And that is actually making parts when I'm not around.
Yeah. So you've lost your like administrative shield, basically.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, and he's the one that's always ordering tools and material, and so he ordered all that stuff, but I don't know what day they're coming in. I don't know who he ordered some of them through. Is it through MSC? Is it through vendor A, vendor B?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where the stuff's at, and so I try not to bug him and be like, "Hey, what day is this coming in?" Because I kind of need it.
Yeah.
So
it's like there's an episode of The Office where I don't remember who it is, but someone like gets fired or leaves, and then all the plants start dying, and it's like, oh, that person was the person watering the plants.
Yeah.
And nobody like had that role covered.
Yeah. And so, but what's really making it stressful is that I have like 6 first article inspections that I need to get done. And in addition to, I'm behind on a couple parts that are like onesie twosie parts for one of my customers. And so the combination of all that stuff, like needing to get parts out the door and the administrative stuff, is what's making it really stressful.
Yeah.
So, and I can't really have Ben. Ben has been focused. Like, there's none of these projects that I can really hand off to him right now, because it's all stuff that's not in his wheelhouse that he's trained up to do yet. So,
is that a process failure? Like, is that something that needs to be fixed, or is that something that is how it should be?
Eventually he will need to take on those roles, but it's kind of like getting assigned a whole bunch of administrative high-level tasks all at once, and that's not a failure of being able to offload it to someone who's not trained in it. It just shows that there's a lot of work at the upper end right now. And having Weston there would help balance that out. So it's not that Ben needs to be able to do any of that, although I would like him to get to that point. But that's just, right now I'm getting him comfortable in 3-axis land. He's done a little bit of 4-axis stuff. Mm-hmm. And then it's a little bit different whenever we're getting into first article, high volume workflow, that he just doesn't have the experience. He could do the work, but he doesn't have the knowledge to really set stuff up for long-term production success.
In terms of programming?
In terms of how do you make a program that could run multiple thousands of parts without causing problems and be very fast and efficient.
Yeah, so process design or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, so it's designing all the fixtures to work with the robot and the thought process behind it, and all the little intricate details of like how to design everything to where it's a reliable process from day one. That he just, frankly, I've just learned it being introduced to the robot, and I haven't had time. Like, I'm still learning using it daily. Like, what are the pitfalls of the system? So I don't even have a process that I could share at this point. So, and there's just a lot of techniques and stuff that he just doesn't know yet because he hasn't come across it.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna hand him work like that at this stage yet.
If you keep doing things in the same way that you are doing them, will he ever be ready to take over that work
Yes.
without like a leap of faith, basically?
Yes. He's been
Okay.
growing and taking on more and more complex work every week. But like, I'll give you an example. Like, we gave him some pretty challenging parts a couple weeks ago, and I could just tell looking at him by the end of the day. He spent 3 days on one part, and it was supposed to be a somewhat easy part, but there was a lot of challenges that kind of came up. You know how the easy parts can sometimes be the most difficult. It's kind of one of those situations. And we didn't really pressure him to like, hoop it up or anything. Like, we were just like, stay on it, and he ended up having to reprogram it like 3 or 4 times. And by the time he finally made the parts, like, you could just see the glazed over expression on his face and his eyes. It was just like, and it's like, this took a lot out of you, didn't it? He's like, yeah, like I am mentally wiped. so like we're pushing him to his limit, but we're trying to keep it in an environment where he can still succeed.
Okay. So it's just a matter of time. Like, it's not everything's in place. It's just he needs time to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. He needs to get good and comfortable and so the environment that we created in the beginning, he was basically running models that we had already done. And so I'd give him something that was already programmed, and I'd give him a part that was almost identical. And I'd say, okay, move this stuff over to this model, and everything's already been thought out. And then slowly we've been giving him parts that, like, there is no framework, just some general guidance. And like, the first few times he started doing stuff like that, where like he had to think of it all 100% on his own. Like, he's just like, oh, I didn't think of that. Like, I haven't had to think that deeply about all the different individual processes as much. And so like, that's been kind of taxing him as he's been kind of learning a little deeper understanding of how to program parts. So,
and that is very much a thing when you're learning. Like, I see that all the time with my students is, they will be able to run through parts where, like, I have given them the process. Like, here's the steps. I've talked through it. A lot of the times they'll have a drawing and a, sheet that gives them some kind of general, like, this is the process.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will go to do a personal project and make a much, much simpler part. And they will just kind of like pick up their piece of material and go, oh, this looks about right. And then they'll just get completely lost from there. And it's like, well, yeah, you know how to follow processes, but figuring out that workflow is a whole nother thing.
Yeah. And so he's getting to the level now where we can talk strategies rather than processes. And so I can look at him and go, okay, you want to focus on that feature in this orientation, or using this tooling, or doing this or this. And so kind of talking at a higher level without me telling him explicitly what to do, just what to think about while he's doing it.
Yeah. He knows what buttons to press, but he's figuring out why he's pressing them in what order.
Yep. So he's getting there, but I mean, his progression has been to the point where for most 3-axis work, I'm pretty content to cut him loose for the most part. He still has little issues here and there, but he knows enough to know when to ask for help. So
cool. Yep. That's a great quality to have.
Yeah. And so, and yeah, I mean, I could talk about it for a while, but he's been doing a fantastic job, and I've been very happy with his growth so far. But he isn't quite to the level where I'm comfortable giving him work that is A, that critical, and B, that complex. And so as his complexity will rise as he continues to go.
How long has he been working for you?
9 months. Not quite.
9 months from Roblox dev to machining parts on their own is not bad.
Yeah, no. And I mean, we've done a good job of letting him fail in a safe environment. So he's had a couple boo-boos, a couple bumps, and like I've given him like heads up about things, but still if he doesn't quite understand why I gave him the warning and I've deemed it safe enough, I will keep my mouth shut and let him fail so he kind of learns. And that's a tough balancing act because I don't want to risk the machine. It ends up costing me more money if instead of standing over his shoulder and going, do this, this, and this. But if I don't give him that opportunity to go out on his own and fail, he won't learn. And so I can give him all the advice in the world, but it won't set in until he makes that mistake.
Definitely.
So that's been the hard part. I mean, it's not hard, but it's a balancing act.
And sometimes teaching people can be frustrating, even if the student is doing perfectly fine. Like,
yeah,
watching people struggle can be frustrating for the teacher, even though like that the struggle is part of them learning.
Yeah,
and they're trying their best and they're doing it intelligently and yada yada yada. Yeah,
yeah. It's like, ooh, I just want to tell you the answer, but but that'll be detrimental to your growth.
yeah, that doesn't work.
It teaches dependence. So, and that's what I'm trying not to do.
I've found specifically, or maybe especially, I should say, with my Department of Corrections students, that telling them the answer does not work at all.
Yeah.
Like I can get up there and I can, stand in front of the whiteboard and teach about speeds and feeds and whatever else. But until they are standing in front of the machine and breaking end mills, it will not sink in at all.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Like honestly, having him now would help me become a better teacher if I was to go back to teaching. Cause like I understand stuff a lot better helping him on a daily basis that I think would be I gave my students too many of the answers on the front end. But it's such a when you have a class that's X long, it's hard to compress everything.
Oh, I know. My DOC class is so compressed. It's terrible. Because we have 8 weeks to do CNC mill, CNC lathe, manual mill, manual lathe, a job planning module, and a module that we call materials or wow, I've already forgotten the name. Measurement, materials, and safety. That's what it is. And so it's like calipers, depth mics, gauge blocks, vernier calipers are on that curriculum that I have to teach because it's on the test. All the mics are analog, bore gauges, like it's all the metrology equipment, plus all of the machines in my shop except for the grinder. And, they have a test part that they have to make for each one of them. And they have 8 weeks. And the testing, there's 8 tests that each take about half a day. So I get 8 weeks with them. What's the total number of hours? I should do the math on hours. Here. I get like 128 hours with them to go through all of this stuff. And it is not enough time. So
I'm going to do my own Googling real quick. Or not Googling, but just number crunching.
I am curious if you had more hours with your guys than I have with mine. Because you would have had 16 weeks, but probably not as many hours a week. Certainly not as many hours a week.
Yeah.
Though I probably have to teach my students more. I've learned that I have to start with some basic math. Converting fractions to decimals is a big one that we have to do. And even some like basic algebra, like they, substituting numbers or variables for numbers or whatever that is. Like not all of my DOC students know that math.
Yeah.
And that's very much not included in my time I have for my curriculum. So that adds another couple days.
48 hours.
Yeah, gosh. If you're even if you're just doing CNC milling, my class I do that is designed to train apprentices to operate a CNC mill, like just operations. That's an 80-hour class. And that's basically just getting them up to the point where they can be a button pusher. Now we do other classes with them. Like I also have a 80-hour metrology class I do. I have like a 40-hour inspection class. But like just basically the button pusher class is 80 hours.
Yeah. So fair enough.
What else? Have I ever said out loud that I'm amazed that the American educational system functions at all?
You haven't, but like the more I've thought about it before, it is kind of bonkers. I can get very heated on that, specifically like just the trades in general versus like college, university. Just speaking of that front, just because like I feel like there's so many engineering students that think they're not smart enough to do it, and then they drop out and go into some other industry, and it's like if they turned like 5 degrees to the right or to the left to some other trade that's adjacent that they just don't know exists, they'd be so happy.
I will say, on a positive note, I have talked to 3 companies through the school in the last couple of weeks that have outstanding apprentice programs.
Oh, that'd be fun.
They're like, for example, one of these companies, they are paying for one of their guys to get an engineering degree while he's going through this apprentice program. And they are giving him a daily stipend for every day that he's in class, like a pretty reasonable one, while also, giving him some work. Like he's, working 10 or 20 hours a week or whatever, and he's getting paid for that. And then also, they have a guaranteed engineering job for him once he finishes his schooling and apprenticeship. And they're paying for his school.
That's awesome.
So it's like, way to go, guys. And a couple of the other companies I've talked to recently, they've been, taking some of their, their button pushers or their assembly guys and, running them through a full apprenticeship program where they come out with at least an associate's degree in something. I don't know what, that's not my department. And, paying them pretty reasonably while they're being apprentices. So I'm starting to see some more like American apprentices come back, like apprenticeships. That hasn't really been a big thing for the last, 20 years or whatever. And then also the school I work for is working on putting together a tool and die training program, which to my knowledge will be the only one in the state, like non-apprentice based.
Oh, that'd be cool.
The only like publicly accessible tool and die training program, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But there's not anywhere else in the state where you can just send somebody to get trained in that stuff. So I'll do, I don't know, probably about half of those classes. Machine skills. I might be able to do some programming or start teaching programming for that class. And the metrology stuff and the basic like inspection and quality stuff that I do anyway. But I have been somewhat optimistic of where I've been seeing some of the education stuff go around manufacturing this year.
Yeah. That's good.
Speaking of which, I haven't told you a couple big things yet.
Okay, let's hear them.
So actually, there's the first one that I did tell you about, where later this week we will be talking with a sales guy to, see how he would fit into Subtract. He's listening. He's a Patreon too. Hi, Josh. So
call him out.
It took me a long time to kind of figure out what that, relationship might look like. And I talked to a couple people and like it caused me to go and like start doing projections for like the next 2 years of Subtract to figure out how to structure that agreement. But a sales guy added onto Subtract could be really big for us right now because we suck at sales. We have basically no sales team. Well, we have no sales team. We basically have no sales activities at all. Like I kind of sometimes occasionally do them, but for the most part, it's just word of mouth and the YouTube channel and I suppose the podcast. So having like a legit sales guy will, could potentially be big for the company if it works out well. And then also I decided to put my money where my mouth was with Audacity. And I am doing some interviews this coming week for an intern. So I'm starting with an intern. It'll be, 8 or 10 hours a week or something like that for a given number of, for 3 months is what I have in the job listing. I figure I talk a lot about training people, and I spend a lot of time at school training people to machine parts. And it's probably time that I implement that in my own shop.
So is that person going to come work at your shop and use your machines?
They will come to my shop and use my machines.
Interesting.
Now, to make this as confusing as possible for all parties involved, this person is coming to he's coming to the Audacity Micro shop. He's making parts at Audacity Micro. The goal, the reason that I am doing this is because I want to test the systems and processes that we are implementing for Subtract. So, at this point, Audacity's job is not really to be profitable. Like, a little bit of extra money is nice. But if I'm teaching and working with Subtract, I don't really need to be running Audacity. But Audacity is the R&D shop for Subtract. So before I can, start implementing all of these systems and processes for Subtract, they need to be tested somewhere.
Makes sense.
And, Audacity is the place where that is going to be. So we've been testing our tool system for a while now, and I'm pretty happy with that. That's close to being, published. That will just be a best practice, obviously not a requirement. Our inspection and quality stuff is getting close to being ready to go. But I want to test that more, and I want to get that tested with someone who's not me. So as basically the job description, the description of this internship that I posted was, you're going to help us build systems and processes, and you're going to happen to be making parts.
Yeah. Now, are you going to be finding, are pretty much all the parts going to be coming from Subtract, or is there going to be any non-Subtract parts coming through?
Ideally Subtract, but, really, again, if the goal is not to make money, Xometry is perfect. So, we'll just look at the job board and what do we want to do this week? Okay, that one's easy.
Gotcha.
And just, I don't know, figure out where the processes don't work. Figure out, what I'm doing without thinking about it and not communicating. Just try to get really solid best practices in place that we can bundle up and give out to all of our vendors. Some of them will be mandatory, like our quality and inspection stuff, that's going to be required. But, I don't care what you do with your tool library as a vendor. But, it'll be nice to say, here is our set of best practices. Take and adopt what you want or what you need, and, don't what you don't. So that's one of my ways I'm planning on, making sure that Subtract is, the highest quality parts and fast lead times is by providing our shops with these tools if they work for them. So
good deal. Well, I don't really have a whole lot else that I can think of at the moment going on.
We're only 35 minutes in.
Well, okay. I guess there is a couple things. So we do actually have some robot problems, but they're not.
Oh, no. Milo, what are you doing?
But that's not what you would think.
Your Roomba.
No.
Your Roomba's cheating on Milo.
Your Roomba's cheating on Milo. They have a secret affair. When we leave for the day, that's why parts aren't getting done as fast. No.
The Roomba's going over and sucking his toes.
Oh, gosh. It was just Valentine's Day. So.
It was.
So, no. The coolant. So, our coolant that we have is messing with some of the plastic on the robot and the little plastic end caps. And our raincoat that's supposed to go over it and prevent stuff from getting in, it has the scrunchy part that's designed to help it fit to form. It's threaded through the actual rubber and is a leaking point. And so the coolant can seep through there, get on the inside, get on the plastic, and it makes it brittle. And so we've had to replace the caps now twice.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And we're trying to come up with a solution to either keep the coolant off the robot or something else. And so we might end up having to switch coolant brands. So, but like we're a lot of firsts for our particular integrator, which, shocker, seems like if anything's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong with us. And so they've never seen coolant interact with caps, or like the caps or the plastic parts. Like there's also rubber seals, and they've seen the rubber seals swell like they are on our machine, but they've never seen that it also affects the plastic caps. And so according to our coolant provider, it should have zero effect on plastic, but it obviously is. And so we got to figure out what's going on. I might end up trying to switch coolant brands. We'll see. We just got
Have you ever just run like Qualchem 251?
That's the one I'm probably going to go to next. If I did on the Tormach. That was the first one we started with, but that was before we had a refractometer, and so we were running it at like 1 or 2% concentration, and we didn't know it. And so
it just works. I've never had a problem with it, and I've abused coolant before.
Yeah.
It just works.
So we're probably going to end up switching to that, if I had to guess.
There's also like 290 or whatever it is. It's basically the same thing, but like extra lubey, which if you do a lot of stainless, maybe is worth it.
Yeah. So we'll see. Frustrating, but is what it is. That's probably going to be the ultimate solution, because all the other stuff is just preventative. But Weston does not want to change coolants again, because we've done it. We've done it like 4 times. Yeah, it is. So we're gonna try them all. Seems like. So
I have been trying to buy coolant and failing. The place I got it from last time is the only place where I can get it that I found so far, where I guess short of buying a 55-gallon drum, I can get it cheaper than buying it by the gallon from Tormach. This is the only place I found, because for some reason shipping the 5-gallon bucket is always like $150 from everywhere else. And this place, they had free shipping on it. It was great. But last time I just bought it online on their store. And this time when I went to go buy it, it was like, hey, you need an account. And of course you can't just like make an account online. You have to talk to their salespeople. And their salespeople aren't answering me. So like, just let me buy the coolant.
Oh, that does remind me of something that did happen. So have I mentioned that I'm going on a vacation trip to Japan?
No, at least I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, in April, me and my wife are planning a personal vacation trip to Japan.
Very cool.
Over that trip, we're going to be going close to the Matsuura factory.
Ooh.
And so I'm going to try to stop in and go look at, get a tour of the Matsuura factory while we're there. And so I've been trying to get a hold of Yamazin to try to set up that, but Yamazin no longer represents Matsuura. So I didn't know that. Is it just
become Titans?
Nope. It's kind of been broken up into other different regions. And so, because that's what was my first question was, is it Titans? But what's funny is they finally called me back on Friday. And so they called me back and I'm talking to them. They're like, yeah, no, we no longer do Matsuura's. And well, what made it difficult was the sales rep that I had dealt with in the past for Yamazin changed companies. And I didn't know that. And so I've been trying for a couple months to contact him through all of his contact stuff. When I finally got through to him, he was no longer at Yamazin. And so then I had to go back and
he was like, hey, do you want to buy a Neo?
No, he ended up moving states, and now he's doing laser welders. So
interesting.
He for one reason or another, I think it was because of family reasons, he moved states, and so he had to give up his job with Yamazin, which he was sad about. Anyways, while I'm on the phone with Yamazin, a sales rep shows up at our door, and I was like, "Give me a second, I'm on the phone." And so I finish up with Yamazin, and I go over. I'm like, "Hey, hi, I'm Harrison. Who are you?" And he's like, "Well, I'm the new sales rep for Metsura." And I'm like, "What?
Why couldn't you be an hour earlier?"
So I told him, I was like, "Well, I just got off the phone with Yamazin," and he's just like, "What?" And so it was kind of funny. So he's supposedly going to be trying to set up a deal where I can go visit the Metsura factory while we're over there.
I think a Metsura would be a great machine for you guys. Just like copy paste it from Serven and Henry Holsters. Just like copy paste their machine, put it in your shop. I think that would do really well. Because I know the Serven one, I think was a 20K spindle. And for a lot of the like little aluminum parts you guys do, that would be huge.
Yeah. So it was funny talking to the sales rep because he's been traveling all over Arkansas. And when he came and looked at our shop and I was kind of showing him around and whatnot, he was just like, "You guys are legit compared to all the other shops that I've been to in Arkansas." So he was, which is not saying a lot. Like this is not like a me bragging. It's more of like a me, like this is the state of everyone else around me, which is probably part of the reason of my success. Is it's not that I'm good, it's that everyone else around me is not with the times. And so he was saying that like out of all the shops that he went to, I was maybe the second shop that he had stopped at that had a 5-axis in Arkansas.
Yeah. I believe it.
And he said, let alone robots or, Y-axis lathes or any of that other stuff, CMM, it's like most of the shops that he went to, it was like 3-axis, and he said a surprising amount of manual machines. And I was like, yep, that sounds about like what I've dealt with, which is why I wanted to start this. So it's just interesting kind of hearing that from a sales rep going around visiting all these shops. And so he's like, I don't even know how to sell to any of these people because like they're so far behind. They don't have any idea what they're like. They don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, they're like riding bikes, and he's selling F1 cars.
Yeah, so that was interesting. So I had a good chat with him. So, but that said, there is some good machine shops around. They're just really closed off.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and few and far between.
Let's see. I am actually making some parts. Well, I was gonna say right now, but not right now. I do have some parts lined up. I'm picking up a new specialty. You know how like thin acrylic parts have, that are this big and just like a square or cylinder have become a hallmark of my shop.
Mm-hmm.
Small rings are now the hallmark of my shop. I feel like I've been making a ton of parts that are, I don't know, an inch or two in diameter, and relatively thin. Just rings, just circles. Mostly out of Peak, some Ultim. I've done acrylic ones. Just little rings, little discs.
Do you know what actually might be a good machine for you someday?
What's that?
A Datron.
I have considered it. I've considered it multiple times.
And you could get it through your door.
I could get it through my door, and I would have power for it. I've had that thought, especially with my tendency to run a lot of super glue work holding.
Yeah.
I feel like the vacuum work holding would work really well for me.
Yep. But I did have some test parts made on a Datron, and they sent them back to me, and they turned out gorgeous.
Are they beautiful? Yeah.
They
were like 4 times faster than you were expecting or something.
Oh yeah, they were so much faster. So yeah.
Yeah. I would definitely take a Datron.
We got to get this solved by our community listeners. Is it Datron or Datron? Because you pronounce it Datron, I pronounce it Datron. What is the right pronunciation?
It's actually weird that I'm saying Datron. I think I would normally say Datron.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure I'm inconsistent about it. There's some things that I have opinions on, like Fanic. It's always going to be Fanic to me. I'm never going to say Fanuc. I will always say Nipex. I'm not going to say Knipex, no matter if you tell me that it's how they pronounce it or not. It's Nipex. The K is silent. But Datron, Datron, I don't know. That's just like, it's Sunday. I guess I'm going with Datron today. Or
every time I've talked to you, you said Datron.
Huh. Interesting. I didn't even know that I did that.
That's so.
How's it spelled? D-A.
I mean,
it's spelled Datron.
It might be Datron. I might be saying it wrong, but I've always heard it Datron.
There's nothing to make the A long. We've been doing this with my children for, it feels like years at this point, and there's nothing to make it say Datron. That'd be like D-A-E-T-R-O-N.
Put it in Google and do Datron pronunciation.
The Google AI result is not helpful. It says both.
It says both?
It says both.
That's not what mine says. Mine says Datron. It says the first syllable is day is generally stressed. Like Datron.
I just found a video and it pronounced it Datron, but it wasn't a video from Datron.
Oh. That's
We've got to have somebody who's in like somewhat more officially involved with Datron, like either bought a machine from them or like a sales guy or something. Someone's going to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the first time I Googled it, it did say Patron was the pronunciation. And it's like,
Patron?
no, that's not right. Google. Yeah. It auto-corrected me. It's fine.
That's funny.
But speaking of, that was a great unintentional cameo, or not cameo, segue. We have Patreons. Man, if that had been intentional, I could have made that so much more smooth.
Are you sure they're not Datreons? Patreons?
Well, yeah. Speaking of names, I have a hard time saying. Our Patreon members include, but are not limited to, Jacob S., Chris at CDS Plastics, John S., Alex H., Avery M., Josh at Leighton Machine, Millen Y., Devin C., Alex at Mill City Roasters, I Still Dream of Your Coffee, Christian O., Stephen M., Horse Pulverizer Incorporated, Daniel R., James at Moultrie Made, Ryan at Stratum Manufacturing, Austin W., Kyle at Kursk Machine, who you heard last episode, Devin at Sinister Machine Works, Greg at Frogtown Manufacturing, James N., Ben at Prickly Pear Prototypes. If you see MFG, do you pronounce that manufacturing? Or would you say MFG?
I pronounce it manufacturing typically, but
I would too. Cam S., Shep at Alderson Prototyping. I don't remember if I said Ben at Prickly Pear Prototypes, but him too. Jacob at Zon and Precision, Jason S., Joshua H., Christian Z., Freaky Climber, Prescott at 1Z, 2Z Systems, Trey V., Alexander B., Scott at Design the Everything, Jamie at JSpec Engineering, Chris at Zyke Precision, EJ at Nocturnal Welding, Chris at Thought Bomb Design, and as ever, Jake Brownson.
I must apologize. I called him James at JSpec last week, not Jamie.
I think of all, like, you're going to get a t-shirt made about you now.
I probably will. And on the Mill City coffee, the Mill City Roasters, I'm on the second bag now. Like, I'm sure you've gone through yours so fast, but I'm just now on the second bag
faster.
So,
and also we haven't mentioned the anchor point that Jamie has, and it's still a really cool, really good 0 point.
Have you been using it?
No, but I have had plans for that thing for so long, and I keep not having time to get it on my table and get the pallets made. The pallets are so cheap and easy to make, and I just have not gotten around to getting it on the table. I want to get it on the table for super glue pallets, and then I have some like production fixtures that I want to make, like Scott's carabiners. Those need to be on a JSpec pallet, and I have not gotten to it.
For the very first time since I bought the Pearson pallet, I have it mounted to a machine.
Wow.
So,
what were you using it for? Oh, probably the vacuum fixture.
Yeah. So normally I just stick that in a vise, because I don't need it very often for very long. So I'll just stick it up in a vise and just clamp onto it. But no, because of one of the high volume jobs that I was quoting that I'm going to be doing, it's my poor man's Datron. So that's what I'm using it for.
Okay.
But I'm basically making the little parts that I would make on a Datron if we got one, except I'm using the vacuum plate for op 1, and then I'm decking the face and punching 1,000 holes, and then I'm using 1,000 screws and flipping it over onto a pallet, and then doing a tab
Putting
method.
1,000 screws in?
I'm being a little over dramatic, but
Okay.
it's close to 100.
I remember when I was doing the carabiner scales, and on one of my earlier attempts at making those, I had like 200 screws on a fixture. And of course, they were 80s, and I just hated life.
Yeah. So my screws are 1024s, and there's close to 100 on there. And it worked really well for the test. I cut out, I needed like 5 for my first articles, and I cut out 8. I lost 1 because it flew off in the machine, and it's now in the ether of chips that I can't find. And the rest of them, the thickness of them actually came out pretty consistent, a lot more than I was expecting. So I was pretty happy about that. Because that was the thing I was worried about the most, was the thickness. So yeah, super happy.
I've just been making rings. Lots of circles.
Discs.
I've been meaning to make a video on this. I have a really good technique now where I'm of course salami slicing them because I don't know, I don't use normal work holding. And I come in with I make the ring, and then I use a thread mill to deburr the top and the bottom of the ring. And then I come back with the saw, and they come off completely deburred. It's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
So with some of these parts, like they're, I think the ones I have now, they're like 30 thou thick peak, and you just couldn't hold them for op 2 any other way.
Yeah.
Something Patreon's Discord Q&A. Alex H. For AJ, do you ever come across applications where low tolerance plastic parts around 5 thou are still a good fit for subtractive manufacturing? So I'm assuming you mean the part is 5 thou big?
Or it says the tolerance.
Low tolerance.
So the tolerance of the plastic part is around 5 thou.
I mean, this is like my bread and butter, so I'm going to go with yes. Maybe not low tolerance, but I guess it all becomes a volume game. Like if you're going to make a lot of them, you're probably going to do injection molding, and you can get all kinds of processes in place, like the salami slice method and stuff and things, but you're never going to beat injection molding if you just need a whole lot of plastic parts.
Yeah.
Do I ever come across applications where I'm trying to think of what would be like what kind of parts I've made where I might actually be competitive with injection molding? Maybe if you did have something like a Datron and you could do sheets of flat parts, maybe if it's like some sort of big flat part that would be hard to mold. But realistically, like they've got to make that sheet material or the billet material that you're making the part from anyway. And it's basically just extruding or injection molding. And like, if you're going to do that process once, you might as well just finish with your finished part.
So if you read that question a little bit lower, it says,
which I did not do.
Go ahead and finish that question real quick.
A few friends and I own and work for a CNC router manufacturer, and we were always curious which type of companies or industries could benefit from machine parts that fall into that tolerance range. Oh, yeah. I mean, big flat things seems to be my first instinct. A lot of like boat companies use parts like that. We used to outsource in my last day job some big flat router parts for check writers and like checkout stands. So like a lot of grocery stores will have a place where you can write a check like at the register, especially for people in a wheelchair, or I guess short people, where they like fold out from the thing. We used to outsource those. Boat parts. I'm trying to think of smaller stuff.
No, yeah, so at my old job, we worked at a company that did conveyors, and there is a ton of plastic routed parts in making of conveyors. A ton. And so, all of the conveyors that we would do, you'd have runners that would go underneath the conveyors that were UHMW, and they were all routed out. And at a minimum, you'd have two. If your conveyor was really narrow, you'd have a UHMW runner on each side. And then as the conveyor would go wider, you'd have to have runners, maximum of 6 inches apart. So, you have an 18-inch wide or 24-inch wide conveyor. You can have, 6 or 10, plastic runners underneath. And we would use sheets and sheets and sheets of UHMW runners for all these conveyors.
Yeah.
Enough that I didn't understand why we didn't get our own router and do it in-house, but we always outsourced it. And a lot of the companies around us that were doing that type of work would eventually get their own routers, but a lot of them outsourced it at the beginning.
Yeah. Slides and guides from UHMW, probably a big thing. If you think about a FedEx, like one of their automated package lines, like they have those rollers and either side of them, there's always like rails that have UHMW slides. Yeah. Big custom equipment would be my first thought, because those people are never going to do injection molds.
No.
And like a lot of those parts are a lot bigger than you would stick on a VF2 or whatever.
Yeah. So they would use a big router and, many, many sheets of material.
Yeah. Custom jigs and fixtures too. I think would be a big one.
So there's a Lazy Boy factory near us. And I think some of their stuff, they have big jigs that are machined out of plastic that they stick all the wood on to kind of pre-stage everything.
Yep. I think Pearson has some videos too, where he has some like UHMW trays or like that starboard stuff. I don't know if you've ever messed with that.
I've wondered if there's or foam cutting, like the Kaizen stuff. That's another one.
Yeah, I do that with my laser and it's terrible. Having a router would definitely be the better way. Yeah, big sheets of parts. Basically, I feel like we've done a quote for you, Alex H. And I don't remember your company name or what your routers were, but I would look up some of them, like the specialized routing materials, and see what those get used for. Again, starboard is one of the ones that I'm thinking of that gets used a lot for like the marine industry. And that's what we used to make those check riders out of, because it's like indestructible and it's pretty easy to get it looking nice. Like, what else do they use that stuff for?
There's also the two-tone plastics that a lot of people do like signs and playgrounds out of. Like all your playgrounds that'll have like all the intricate stuff cut. It's 2 layers of plastic and they just cut through the first layer. Those are pretty cool. So
I'm trying to think of the plastic
none of that
parts
stuff's tight tolerance either that I've talked about. It's all super low tolerance.
Those are like woodworker tolerance.
Yeah.
I do a lot of like fluidics out of plastic, but I think that's all generally tighter tolerance.
And nothing you'd stick on a router.
What?
And nothing you'd want to stick on a router.
Yeah, you put it on a Datron, no problem. It'd actually be a much better machine than mine for it. Yeah, I do a lot of jigs. Everything from like fiber optic splicing jigs to like, just assemble the doohickey right. Some of the rings I've done could maybe be routerable if you figure out the work holding. Those seem to go in, like they seem to be going into some sort of medical equipment or medical adjacent like pumps and stuff, because they all seem to be PEEK, which is normally a chemical resistant thing. Like hydraulic glands or whatever they're called. I don't know. That's all I can think of. I feel like routers are one of the more versatile pieces of equipment out there, though, because you can like do big stuff and like, I don't know, for like I said, plus or minus 5 thou work, like they're fine for that too. So big, yeah, I don't know, blocks, flat things, round things, as long as they're round and flat. Big gears, playground.
Have we beaten this horse?
Yep, I think this horse has been pulverized.
Fair
and
enough.
I believe I keep knocking my mic. I believe that's the only question we have.
For we've been getting really good questions, so I'm kind of surprised at how few there are this week.
I think we let Jacob get not out of sync, but like we broke his rhythm, and I don't think he asked until
threw off my groove.
Someone in the Discord is talking about machining aluminum dry. I didn't read the background. Do you do aluminum dry ever?
Not unless I like getting rid of tools.
Yeah. I will occasionally do it with just an air blast.
I'll run it dry for a little bit if I'm looking for clearances, but like it's just like stopping it so it's not splashing, but like I won't keep it running like that.
When I'm doing super glue work holding, sometimes I'll do it dry just because it does seem to be a little bit more reliable. If I'm using tape, if I'm going straight like fixture to part, then the coolant doesn't make a difference at all. But if I'm using tape for the part to be easier to release, I'll do it with just the air blast. And it actually always surprises me how well the air blast does work. But I was working on a part the other day. I showed you the parts. They had how do I word them? They were like a circle. They had these like kind of tall walls sticking up on opposite sides of the circle. And I was running those dry at first because I needed to mix more coolant and I hadn't yet. And I definitely broke a tool because I was running it too aggressively to go dry. And
Have you noticed the surface finish quality difference doing it dry?
That's what I'm saying. Is I was impressed by how well it worked. Now, granted, there is some mist in that mist coolant, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Fair enough.
I have been learning about rotary unions too. That was another thing I've been working on because I've been trying to find one for my Tormach that supports through coolant to air or through tool air. Not really so that I could use it for parts, but so that I could use it for the gimbal automation system. And I was hoping that it could be cheaper than like their bypass system. It's not. Fun fact. But there's apparently a couple different kinds of rotary unions that I have learned about. There's some that like require, most of them do not support air for some reason. Like they need it for lubrication and they just don't support air.
So how does the Haas or how does anyone do through air and through coolant?
Well, some of them do. You just pay more for a fancier rotary union.
Okay.
That are independently oiled, I think is the kind of the key. And then also I found out if you just buy a cheaper rotary union, they require like flow through them at all times. And so you have to get one that automatically disengages itself. So it's called like a pop-off rotary union.
Interesting.
And then there was another type that was like an auto-sensing pop-off rotary union. And that's the kind you needed through coolant air or through tool air. And that was like, I don't know, $1,000 or something. It's like at that point, I'm just better off getting the gimbal bypass unit. So, sorry, one more call to the community. I know there were people, and I think they did this a lot with brothers that were DIYing their own through spindle coolant setup with like a power washer motor in a tank. If anybody knows about that, I would be interested in getting that. I would like to know more about that. Okay, sorry. What were you saying?
I forgot first. What automation would you be doing with gimbal? Like, what do you like? You don't do a whole lot of high volume stuff, so I'm just curious what are your plans for it?
I would be swapping vices. I would use it to swap my little row of vices.
Okay.
And you're right. I don't do, runs of more than like 50 on a regular basis. Even a 50 run would be a big run for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I do runs of 8 or 10 pieces fairly often. So put 10 vices in there. My cycle times tend to be longer, partially because I don't bother optimizing them because I'm only doing 10 of them. Partially because surfacing and stuff and things. But, if I could put 8 vices on there and then hit go and go to bed, that would be a huge improvement.
Fair enough. I like it.
Well, are we done early?
Early? It's been an hour. But yes, that's early for us, I guess.
Normally go, I don't know. We normally go a little bit longer.
It's earlier. I wouldn't say it's the earliest. I think we've done a couple at around 30 minutes.
We have done some really short ones. Last week, you and Kyle did one of our longer ones.
Yeah, that was a long one. Was not planned to be that long, but it was a lot of fun.
But Kyle was a cool guy.
Yeah, Kyle was a cool guy.
Cool.
So,
all right. Well,
it's that time. All right, guys. We just want to say thanks for hanging out with us, and please like, subscribe, and tell a friend or a neighbor or a stranger that you meet while you're at the grocery store. That's what it is. We need a stranger at the grocery store.
A stranger is just a potential friend.
Exactly. You could make a new friend and share our show. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.
You get two birds with one stone.
Subscribe on YouTube so that we can get that channel monetized.
Yes. Yeah, the Taps and Patience YouTube channel.